It was just after midnight on May 14, 1983. A cool, foggy night blanketed the California 405 freeway, the moon barely visible through the haze. A California Highway Patrol officer spotted a brown 1979 Toyota Celica weaving erratically between lanes and pulled it over near Mission Viejo. Approaching cautiously, the officer leaned in and froze. In the passenger seat was the lifeless body of a young Marine named Terry Gambrell, just 25 years old, wrists raw from rope, pants pulled down, his face frozen in terror. The driver, calm, almost bored. His name was Randy Kraft, soon to be known nationwide as the Scorecard Killer.
Gators, in 1983, Randy Kraft, known today as the Scorecard Killer, was arrested with a dead Marine in his car.
In the trunk of the vehicle, he had what later became known as the scorecard, and it is believed to be a coded list of Kraft's victims through the years.
Kraft was convicted of 16 murders and sentenced to death. Investigators had believed their John Doe was one of Kraft's early victims.
Inside Kraft's car, police discovered a chilling collection: tranquilizers, empty beer bottles, explicit photographs of unconscious or dead young men, and a handwritten list filled with cryptic codes: EDM, MCHB tattoo, Portland Eklutna. This mysterious scorecard would become one of the most haunting puzzles in American criminal history, a twisted ledger whose full meaning remains unsolved to this day. But this isn't where the story starts. This is where it ends. To understand how Randy Kraft became the Scorecard Killer, you have to rewind fast. Long Beach, California, 1950s. Randy Kraft grew up in a home where silence was punishment and secrets were survival. His father, Harold, was distant and cold. Never a hug, never a kind word, just impossible standards and judgmental eyes. Randy learned early to hide everything: his feelings, his shame, and especially his crushes on other boys. He became smart, invisible, always pretending.
Every Friday night, Julia's job is to compare the grocery prices of our neighborhood stores for Saturday morning shopping. When that matter's settled, I figure maybe I can get in a little reading before it's time to go to bed. That is, after the radio's turned down a little.
College at Claremont Men's College offered a brief escape, but Kraft still didn't fit in. Quiet, reserved, and secretly gay in an era when homosexuality was taboo, he struggled to connect with peers. Hoping for structure and acceptance, Kraft joined the Air Force in 1968. But his military career ended abruptly when he was caught engaging in sexual activity with another male airman. Officially discharged for homosexual conduct, Kraft was humiliated and enraged. According to criminal psychologists, this traumatic rejection deeply wounded Kraft, fueling a simmering rage and a desperate need for control. It was this event, experts believe, that triggered his transformation from quiet loner to sadistic predator.
McCarthy explicitly linked communism with LGBTQ people, and some even said they were the bigger threat. The Red Scare had spawned the Lavender Scare, the name taken from Senator Everett Dirksen's reference to gay men as lavender lads. A 1950 congressional investigation concluded that LGBTQ people were unsuitable for federal employment and posed a security risk because fear of exposure made them susceptible to blackmail. Thousands of workers across the government were investigated, interrogated, and forced from their jobs. Over time, society's attitudes towards LGBTQ people changed, but until 1975, they were still barred from the civil service.
By the early 1970s, Kraft had begun prowling California's highways, hunting for vulnerable young men. On June 20th, 1980, 18-year-old Joseph Fancher was hitchhiking home after a party in Huntington Beach. Kraft pulled over, offering a friendly smile and a ride. Joseph, tired and trusting, climbed into Kraft's Toyota Celica. Kraft offered him a beer, then another, slipping tranquilizers into the drink. Soon, Joseph was unconscious. Kraft drove to a secluded spot, bound Joseph's wrists tightly with rope, and began his ritual of torture, burning him with a cigarette lighter, beating him, and ultimately strangling him. Afterward, Kraft discarded Joseph's body along the freeway, posed and mutilated, before calmly driving home to record another cryptic entry on his scorecard.
16 murders and sentenced to death. Investigators had believed their John Doe was one of Kraft's early victims. After submitting tissue samples to a private forensic lab last year, they were able to extract a DNA profile and submit it to a genealogy database. Last month, they identified possible family members in Iowa.
We met with his mother, who is still alive, and another of his sisters earlier this month, and obtained a DNA sample to do a direct comparison between our John Doe and his mother. And we got the results back this week that it is a confirmed match, and he is Michael Reichlicht.
While Michael's family may never get closure, investigators say they finally have some answers as to what happened to their loved one.
Well, I can honestly say that meeting his mother and seeing the look on her face was the highlight of my career.
The Orange County Sheriff's Department says their cold case team has 24 other John and Jay Doe cases they're working to identify.
This was Kraft's method. Cruising highways late at night, scanning for young men, often hitchhikers, Marines, or runaways. He chose victims carefully, targeting those who seemed vulnerable, alone, or intoxicated. Inside his car, Kraft created an atmosphere of false safety. Friendly conversation, music playing softly, beer bottles clinking. But beneath this facade was a calculated predator, patiently waiting for the drugs to take effect, for his victim's head to slump forward, signaling the start of his horrific ritual. The bodies piled up, scattered across multiple counties. Police struggled to connect the dots. No computers, no DNA testing, no clear patterns. Kraft was meticulous, changing his hunting grounds and methods, always careful to avoid suspicion. He was a ghost, invisible and deadly. But even ghosts slip. On that foggy May night in 1983, Kraft's drunken driving finally exposed him. The discovery of Terry Gambrell's body and Kraft's chilling collection of evidence shocked investigators. Kraft was arrested, tried, and convicted of 16 murders, sentenced to death row. His trial stunned America, forever changing how law enforcement agencies communicated and investigated serial crimes. Yet, decades later, Kraft's scorecard remains a haunting mystery, a puzzle filled with cryptic codes, initials, and locations. Investigators believe it may represent dozens more victims, many still unidentified. Kraft himself has never explained the list, leaving families and detectives haunted by unanswered questions. Randy Kraft's legacy is terror. He turned California's open roads into graveyards, leaving behind a trail of shattered lives and unsolved mysteries. He kept his secrets, and he kept his list. And somewhere out there, the highway still remembers. Dedicated to the memory of Kraft's victims and their families. What do you think the scorecard codes mean? Comment below. If you want more stories like this, stories that remember the victims and unravel mysteries, hit subscribe. The highway may remember, but so do we.